Lost Spring, written by Annie Chung. We are continuing the story of Sahib, who is the rag picker. The author comes across him and asks why he doesn't go to school. She gets a reply that there was no school in his locality. And then she makes a fake promise that she would open a school for him. She is aware that she would not be able to fulfill his promise. Then she talks to the boy and gets to know that his parents came to the city in search of better life from Bangladesh. But he ended up living on the streets. They came to Delhi from Bangladesh in the year 1971 as their house was swept away by repeated storms. Then they began to live in Simapuri, which is in the outskirts of Delhi. She explores the life in the slums of Simapuri, the place where Sahib lives. They live without any identity like the ration card or voter card. After all, filling the stomach is more important than an identity. It is very pitiable that the garbage that others throw away is like gold to them, and they end up looking for food and livelihood on that. The story explores the problem he faces, getting exposed to hazardous waste in the garbage dumps, walking about barefoot, no nourishment or clothes on his body. Saib, like many other children of the slum, was a rag picker. Let us go ahead with this story. My acquaintance with the barefoot rag pickers leads me to Simapuri, a place on the periphery of Delhi, 8 miles away from it metaphorically. Acquaintance, familiarity, but here introduction. Now she is introduced to these rag pickers, or she has become familiar with these rag pickers. And because she knows these rag pickers, she thinks of Simapuri where they have settled down, where they are living. This place is on the periphery of Delhi. It is in the outskirts of Delhi. It is in the outer area of Delhi. Though it is very close to Delhi, which is a very developed city, it is very different from it metaphorically, symbolically. 8 miles away from it, it is totally different from it. So we can see on one hand lot of development in Delhi. But when you see Simapuri, which is very close by, which is located in the outskirts of Delhi, we can see the kind of development which has not taken place. Totally backward area or undeveloped area. Those who live here are squatters. Those who are living there in that Simapuri area, they are the settlers who have come from Bangladesh back in 1971. Sahib's family is among them. Sahib's family also has come from Bangladesh in the year 1971. By then, how was Simapuri? Simapuri was then a wilderness. It was an empty place. It was totally undeveloped area at that particular time. It still is, but it is no longer empty. That emptiness we can see even now because there is no development. But now what do we find? We find in structures of mud. We find structures of mud with roofs of tin and tarpaulin, divide of sewage, drainage or running water. Live 10,000 rag pickers. So who are living there in Simapuri? There are nearly 10,000 rag pickers living there. They have got kacha houses. Their houses are made of mud. They have, and the roofs are of tin and tarpaulin. So it's a totally undeveloped kind of structure that is there. And then that those houses do not have sewage facility, drainage facility, or running water, or water. And in such kind of place, they are all living there. So there was no sewage facility, drainage facility, or running water facility there in that particular area. So they are living in very unhygienic conditions. So it was a piece of wasteland earlier. Now also it is like that. So there is no development that has taken place. And those people who are living there, they have lived there for years together without an identity, without permits, but with ration cards. But they have got ration cards that get their names on voters list and enable them to buy grain. So they have got ration cards, they have got voter cards, and that helps them to buy grain. Food is more important for survival than identity. If at the end of the day we can feed our families and go to bed without an aching stomach, we would rather live here than in the fields that gave us no grain. Say a group of women in tattered saris. A group of women, they are talking about survival. In tattered saris, they are wearing torn saris. At the end of the day, if they are able to get food for their families, that is enough for them. They are not worried about anything else. They are not worried about their comforts. What they want is they want to earn their livelihood. They want food for their stomachs. That's all. They want to survive in this world. When I asked them why they left their beautiful land of green fields and rivers, these squatters, these settlers, they have come from Bangladesh. They have left their beautiful land of green fields and rivers. So they left that place and they have settled down here in Simapuri, where there is a garbage dump, and the profession they have got is rag picking. Now they have settled down there illegally. They don't have any identity. So government has not permitted them, but they have settled down. Politicians have provided them ration cards and voter cards. And because of these ration cards and voter cards, they get grocery, they get ration for their family. And that is enough for them. When women were asked the question why did they leave their homes in Dhaka, which is a beautiful land of green fields, then they reply, wherever they find food, they pitch their tents that become transit homes. So wherever they have found food, they have gone to those areas, they have gone to those places. And later they have come to Simapuri and they have settled down in Simapuri because they get the food what they require for their life. And survival in Simapuri means rag picking. Once you come to Simapuri, only job what you can do is rag picking. And because of that they can survive. And they reply, if they were able to satisfy the hunger of their families and sleep well at night, they were happier to live in Simapuri than those fields in Dhaka which were ruined and gave them no food. So what is ultimately very important is for them survival. And that is the reason why these people have come. These people have traveled in search of food, and wherever they have found, they have set up this temporary home. And they have started living there. And later they have made Simapuri as their permanent place. Through the years, it has acquired the proportions of a fine art. Garbage to them is gold. Now they find lot of valuable things there. For these rag pickers, the garbage was as precious as gold. These families searched the garbage dumps and got things which they sold to get the food. They gathered torn or damaged sheets which were used to cover the roof of their homes. This did not cover them well, but that was enough for them, which provided them shelter. It is their daily bread. That garbage, what they are getting from that valuable things, precious things, that will provide them daily bread, a roof over their heads. It will provide them protection during the sunny days, during the rainy days. Even if it is a leaking roof, it doesn't matter during rainy days. But for a child, it is even more. But for children, it is not a merely means of a survival. It is more than that. Probably something very interesting, something very valuable they find there in the garbage dump. I sometimes find a rupee, even a 10 rupee note. Sahib says, his eyes lighting up. So Sahib is very happy to say that sometimes he found a rupee and even 10 rupees notes in that dump. When you can find a silver coin in a heap of garbage, you don't stop scrounging, for there is a hope of finding more. If you are able to find a silver coin there in the garbage dump, one keeps on searching, scrounging, one keeps on looking for or searching. And you don't simply stop searching, you keep on searching more and more, and then there is a hope for you to find more. For those children, it is more than survival. It says that for children, garbage has a meaning different from what it means to their parents. For their parents, it's a means of survival. But it is more than that. Probably something wonderful thing can be there in that garbage. For those children, the garbage dump was a means of fulfilling their dreams, although partially, while for their parents, it was merely to aid their survival. It was merely to provide their basic need: food, clothing, and shelter. But for these children, it is wrapped in wonder. For the elders, it is a means of survival. But here, something wonderful thing, something very precious thing, something always interesting thing, they may find that. And kind of, it's a play kind of thing for them. It's a wonderful kind of thing for them. They're just waiting with hope, something very valuable, they'll find that. Probably it's a kind of lottery for them. One winter morning, I see Sahib standing by the fenced gate of the neighborhood club, watching two young men dressed in white playing tennis. I like the game, he hums, content to watch it standing behind the fence. I go inside when no one is around, he admits. The gatekeeper lets me use the swing. So one winter morning, the writer saw that Sahib was standing there by the fence of a club. So who were there? There was a tennis game going on there. He was watching a tennis game, and it was played by two young men. They were playing the tennis there. Sahib liked the game, but did he effort to go there? Very poor. A rag picker. How can he go and play there tennis? Sahib liked the game, but could not play it. He told the writer he went inside the club when it would get closed. He was allowed to take swings by the guard there. So here he says, I like the game, content to watch it standing behind. I go inside when no one is around. The gatekeeper, that watchman, he allows them. The guard, he allows him to use the swings. He goes there, plays there, using the swings. Sahib too is wearing tennis shoes that look strange over his discolored shirt and short. Now here he is wearing tennis shoes, but he is not there to play the game. When nobody is there, the gatekeeper allows him to go and use the swing, to play there in the swing. Now here he is wearing discolored shirt and short, whatever probably they have found there in the garbage dump. And he's wearing tennis shoes, probably he has found there in the garbage dump. Someone gave them to me. He says in the manner of an explanation. The fact that they are discarded shoes of some rich boy who perhaps refused to wear them because of a hole in one of them does not bother him. It doesn't matter. Now, it doesn't matter whether it's a discarded shoes, whether the hole is there in that shoes. So the writer, when she sees Sahib wearing that tennis shoe, she's thinking over that. And they did not look appropriate with his dress, which was worn out, which was faded. And he told that writer, in order to justify himself, that someone has given him those shoes. She soon figured out that he had got them from a garbage dump. They must have been thrown away by a boy from a rich family because probably he did not want to wear them. Probably they had a hole or two in them, due to which he didn't want to wear those shoes. For one who has walked barefoot, even shoes with a hole is a dream come true. But the game he's watching so intently is out of reach. He can wear shoes, no problem, which are discarded ones. But the game which tennis plays playing there, he can't play that. He can't afford that. It is out of his reach. He can never play that game. This boy walked barefoot, and to wear a shoe even with a hole was like a dream for him. Although due to the garbage dumps, Sahib's dream of wearing shoes had been partially fulfilled, but his desire to play tennis would never be fulfilled because of the strata to which he belonged to, because he was too poor to play that game. This morning Sahib is on his way to the milk booth. In his hand is a steel canister. So far what we have seen, Sahib as a rag picker. But now, one day morning, when the writer met Sahib, he was on his way to the milk booth. In his hand is a steel canister. So what was he holding? He was holding a steel kettle. It was a tea kettle. It was a tea container. He told her that he had got a job at the nearby tea stall. I now work in a street stall down the road, he says, pointing in the distance. I am paid 800 rupees and all my meals. Now here he is paid 800 rupees and is also provided all the meals. So where is he working? He is working in a tea stall. And how much he is earning? He is earning 800 rupees. Besides that, he gets food too. Does he like the job? I ask. His face, I see, has lost the carefree look. So his face has lost that look. So earlier there was no problem, but now he has got a master there. The steel canister seems heavier than the plastic bag he would carry as a rag picker, so lightly over his shoulder. So now the roles are different. Now he's a servant. He's working in somebody else's shop. The bag was his. He was his own master there. The canister belongs to the man who owns the tea shop. So the kettle which he is carrying, that belongs to the owner of the tea stall. Sahib is no longer his own master. So here he doesn't have freedom. Sahib had all the freedom when he was a rag picker, but probably his condition is better now. Now Sahib was working for someone else now, and he was carrying his master's container. He was burdened with responsibility. He had to become responsible. Earlier as a rag picker, Sahib would carry his own bag and was his own master. Now he was no longer his own master. He was serving somebody else. He had to become responsible. He had to serve somebody else. So now he is not independent. Now he can't enjoy the same freedom that he enjoyed as rag picker. But probably now his condition is better, and maybe we can see the happy smiling face. But the writer feels that he is no longer his own master. We are already seeing the story of Sahib, the rag picker. I want you to write answers for these questions. And this is an assignment for you. What is Saib looking for in the garbage dumps? Where is he and where has he come from? So where is he presently and to which place he belongs to? What explanations does the author offer for the children not wearing footwear? Children have come out with some explanations. But what explanations does the author offer for the children not wearing footwear? And the last question, is Saib happy working at the tea stall? Explain. This is a personal response question. Is Saib happy working at the tea stall? Explain. So write the answers for these questions.